In the 6th year of my marriage to Leo, he handed me a divorce agreement. He would give me the money and our child. All he wanted was a clean slate and a free life. To be honest, I had no reason to refuse him. How could I expect a person who didn't even care about money to still love me? On the day of our daughter Hope's 5th birthday, Leo came back from a business dinner and handed me a divorce agreement. He took off his suit and sank wearily into the middle of the sofa. He gently rubbed his temples on both sides, trying his best to look more awake. "Take a look. Sign it, there's no problem." There was not much emotion in his deep voice. It was as if it were just an ordinary negotiation in the business world. "A good gathering and a good separation will be a relief for you, me, and the child." My hand holding the agreement was shaking a little. From beginning to end, his gaze never lingered on me for a moment. The meals and the hangover soup were still warming in the kitchen. They hadn't been served yet. A piece of birthday cake that Hope had cut for him was still prominently placed on the dining table. Behind the sofa was a photo of our family of 3. He had his arms around me and our daughter, smiling brightly. He was like a completely different person from the man with a tired expression in front of me now. Before this, I thought he was just too busy with work. That's why he had more and more business dinners and less time to come home. I didn't complain. I knew how hard it was to support a family. The large flat we lived in and the private school Hope attended all depended on his hard work outside. At first, he would chat with me in detail about things at work. At that time, Hope was still little. She would be hungry, crying, needing a diaper change, or getting hurt. I had to divert my attention to take care of the child. By the time I finished what I was doing, the child was asleep. Leo also lost the intention to talk to me further. But at that time, we were still affectionate. He would hold me in his arms at night and sincerely sigh, "Dear, you've worked so hard. When our income is more stable, let's hire a nanny." Later, when his work advanced further, we did hire an auntie. But Leo had many requirements in his daily life. The aunties we carefully selected could hardly be perfect for the job. They were either talkative, had a poor sense of boundaries, or had average cooking skills. In short, during the days when there was an auntie at home, for him, it was like being in a cage, feeling uncomfortable all the time. He never said it directly. He would just lock himself in the study every day when he came home. He would just take a couple of bites of food for a meal and then be done with it, until one night when the atmosphere was intimate. He lightly rested his chin on my neck. He said tenderly, "I really miss the time when our family of 3 was alone together. I'm a Leo and tend to be overly influenced by love. The happiness of the family and the emotional needs of my lover are, to me, more important than anything else. So, I once again took over all the household chores. He took care of things outside, and I took care of the home. And it's been like this until now. Why do you want a divorce? Is it that you haven't been going well at work recently?" I staggered a bit and pulled out a chair to sit in front of him. I tried carefully to find some reasons for him. We were in a relationship for 4 years and married for 6 years. The most wonderful 10 years of our lives were spent together. And we even had the crystallization of our love. Just when things were finally getting better, I couldn't believe that he was ready to leave at this moment. Leo finally raised his eyes and looked at me. He said calmly and helplessly, "Ava, I'm sorry. I don't love you anymore." His brief words were like a heavy stone, smashing hard on my heart. They also shattered the last bit of my self-deceiving expectation. I wanted to scream, to cry my eyes out. I wanted to hysterically question him. Why? But I just sat there on the chair, my whole body cold, pressing my lips tightly together. Hope was still sleeping, and I was afraid of scaring her. I let out a self-deprecating chuckle. I slowly unfolded the agreement in my hand. Leo was very generous. He gave me the house, our joint savings, and Hope, except for the car he drove. He almost left the marriage with nothing. "You haven't been to work for these years. The house and the savings left to you can help you get through for a while. Hope is still young and a girl. It will be more convenient for her to stay with you. Of course, I will pay more than the required child support. If there are no other problems, sign the paper." And we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow to finalize the divorce. He explained some of the clauses in the agreement thoughtfully, as if to tell me, don't worry and sign it. I'm not treating you and our daughter unfairly. Looking at the person in front of me, I was a bit dazed. How did we go from being intimate lovers to the point where we couldn't even look at each other and say a word now? Today is Hope's birthday. Did you bring her a gift? Forcing down the turmoil in my heart, I looked at him. I asked an inappropriate question. Upon hearing this, his face froze, and his eyes quickly scanned the surroundings. The decorations in the living room and the cake on the dining table, everything was reminding him that our daughter was 5 years old today. If he had just taken one more look after entering the house, I wouldn't have felt so ironic. I might have been able to understand if he didn't love me anymore. But now, he didn't even love our daughter anymore. On this wonderful day, he couldn't wait to end our marriage. He wanted to pull away from our small family. Sorry. I was too busy with work. I'll make up a gift for her tomorrow. I remember Hope likes the Barbie doll of Elsa the most. Right? Tomorrow. No need. Leo. That was Hope's wish when she was 3 years old. I interrupted him and suddenly felt physically and mentally exhausted. Whatever the reason you want a divorce. I agree. But Leo, once the decision is made, there's no turning back. Have you thought it through? When our eyes met, there was a hint of confusion in his eyes. Perhaps I was too calm, not asking repeatedly for confirmation. Nor did I break down and cry. For a moment, he didn't know how to respond. But soon, he raised the corners of his lips as if he were relieved. Ava, I'm glad you can understand. Even if two unsuitable people force themselves to be together. Before he could finish his words, I grabbed the pen and signed my name at the end of the agreement. Right next to it was Leo's signature, which he had already signed long ago. The signature was bold and powerful. Without any hesitation, I could almost imagine the joyful mood he was in when signing this document. I was very sad. And I completely gave up hope. Leo left at night. He took the signed agreement, his relevant certificates, and Duo Fu with him. Duo Fu was the dog we had raised together. It was obedient and lovable. He took all the important things, leaving only me and our daughter behind. He even forgot to say goodbye to our daughter. He couldn't wait to run towards a brand new life. I stood on the balcony of the living room and looked downstairs. There was a pretty figure who got out of Leo's car and trotted towards him. She took Duo Fu from his arms. Surprisingly, Duo Fu, who was usually afraid of strangers, didn't struggle. They whispered a few words. Soon, what out a low sorry. Leo raised his head and looked cautiously in the direction of the house a few times. Then he led the woman into the car. It turned out that he didn't stop loving me. He just fell in love with someone else. I spent the longest night of my life tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep. The next day, having fulfilled my obsession, I took a day off for Hope and took her to the Civil Affairs Bureau. When Hope saw Leo waiting there, her eyes lit up, and she excitedly ran towards him with small steps. Daddy Leo's face looked a bit unpleasant when he saw Hope. He shot me a reproachful look. Then he turned his head and promptly put on a doting smile as a father. He squatted down and opened his arms to hug Hope tightly. Daddy, why didn't you come home last night? Mommy and I were waiting for you to blow out the candles. Mommy said that Daddy was tired from work. So I saved the sweetest piece of cake for Daddy. Daddy can eat it when he gets home. Hope was young and innocent. Her innocent and cheerful voice kept pestering Leo with questions. Leo held her in his arms and played with her for a while. He casually promised that he would take her to the children's amusement park when he had time, to the aquarium, and to the wildlife park. Hope was very happy. Perhaps Leo didn't care about this short parent-child time. But Hope, she needed the care and affirmation from her father. Before going to bed yesterday, I had promised her that she would see her father when she opened her eyes. The staff in the divorce hall probably saw a couple, with a child coming to register for divorce for the first time. Their eyes kept shifting between the three of us. At this moment, I was a bit glad that Hope couldn't read yet. She thought that Mommy and Daddy had something important to deal with. She sat obediently on the waiting chair beside us, not making any noise. As soon as the marriage mediator opened her mouth, She was interrupted by Leo. I'm in a hurry. Please go through the process quickly. The mediator opened and closed her mouth a few times. And finally closed it. She took a deep look at me. Seeing that I had a calm expression, she let out a sigh and didn't ask any more questions. After getting the divorce receipt, Leo took a photo of it. He rarely posted on his moments. Presumably, he was giving an explanation to others. I'll wait for you here in 30 days. He was operating his phone with his head down while giving me instructions. It turned out that there really were people who thought getting a divorce was as simple and casual as having a meal, without any waves. So, he naturally thought that I should be the same. Seeing that I didn't respond, he frowned and raised his face. Don't bring our daughter here next time. You know that I won't change my mind because of the child. Don't waste any other thoughts either. Go out and walk around more when you have time. Don't be trapped in this small space at home. At this moment, I had a new understanding of a man's indifference for the first time. No matter how deeply in love we were before, once he didn't love me anymore. Even if I didn't say a word, he would think that I was scheming. The emotions that I had suppressed for a long time finally couldn't be held back. I raised my trembling hand and slapped him hard. While he was still in a daze, I picked up Hope. I walked quickly outside. Hope. Be good. Daddy still has some work to do. Mommy will take you home first. Hope looked back with some confusion and then at me. She nodded obediently. I'll go wherever Mommy goes. It is often said on the internet that a cliff-like emotional breakdown can plunge people into endless self-doubt. In the past, I didn't take it seriously. I thought life would be the same without anyone. After Leo left, during the day, I acted as if nothing had happened. I still manage the family life and Hope studies in an orderly manner. Business can make me forget my sadness for a short time. After coaxing Hope to sleep at night, the time when I am alone and quiet is particularly difficult to endure. The relationship that lasted for 10 years collapsed overnight. Healing myself mentally is no less than post-disaster reconstruction. Several times in the late night, I stood barefoot on the balcony, opened the window, and let the cold wind blow me apart. I could never finish the farewell letter to Hope in the phone's memo, and I couldn't continue writing it either. It was in that instant that I realized that the pain of leaving Hope is far greater than the sadness of separating from Leo. Marriage, in fact, is just like that. There is no law stating that Leo has to love me for a lifetime. The walls of the besieged city have collapsed, and the people inside should also step out. Perhaps because he hasn't obtained the final documents yet. Leo hasn't informed his parents of the decision to divorce. Otherwise, judging by the temperaments of Leo's father and mother, they would most likely be persistent about the issue of property distribution. As for me, the only relative I have in this world now is Hope. There is no one to whom I can talk about the decisions in my life anymore. Leo once cherished me especially because of my situation. Now, he also knows that I am isolated and helpless. So it's easy for him to leave without having to account to anyone. On the 10th day of the cooling-off period, there was a call from an unfamiliar number, asking to meet me. It was a young woman's voice on the other end. I could probably guess who it was. But I had no intention of meeting her. The failure of my marriage with Leo, in essence, cannot be blamed on other people who are third parties. But she just wouldn't let it go, and couldn't hold back her joy of the impending victory. She sent me a picture. He loves me the most now. Only I can awaken his happiness and desire. In the photo, Leo's chest was bare, and he looked fully satisfied in his sleep. On the slightly tilted side of his neck, there was a prominent hickey. Under the alternating light and shadow of the lamps, a smooth and slender thigh was wrapped around his waist, and the atmosphere was as intimate as it could be. Although I was prepared in my heart, when the evidence was laid bare in front of me, my heart still couldn't help twitching and tearing. I deliberately looked away, forcing myself not to stare at the picture closely. But I still felt extremely nauseous, as if my heart was in turmoil. After a long time, my mood gradually calmed down. I raised my stiff fingers and slowly typed. You said he loves you. Has he spent money on you? If he hasn't spent money on you, how can you prove that he loves you? After sending the message, my heart was filled with unease. In less than 10 minutes, A series of pictures popped up one after another. There were Hermes bags, Valentino shoes, Cartier bracelets, Omega watches. Of course he loves me. He said I deserve the best of everything. I know that Leo has been able to earn a lot of money in the past 2 years. But I didn't ask in detail how much exactly. I once had absolute trust in him. Now, looking at the pictures of various luxury goods sent by the other side. On the one hand, I was glad that the other person was naive and stupid enough. On the other hand, I felt ridiculous about these years of my own. I felt sorry for his hard work, understood his feelings, and painstakingly created a comfortable and pleasant family environment. But he strayed outside our family and used the resources that should have belonged to our small family to please another woman. After backing up and saving the things sent to me by the other person one by one, I asked her, "Why do you want to meet me?" After a few minutes, I received a picture of a ultrasound. Because I'm pregnant. And it's a son. So regarding the distribution of your property, I think it's necessary to communicate again. You've been a housewife for 6 years. So naturally you don't know the hardship of working and making money in the outside world. Even if you are really given the large flat you're living in now, can you afford to maintain it? What she said made sense. Obviously, having so wide, she had done a lot of research. Now, the most valuable thing under our names is this house. A large flat facing the river in a prime location. Opposite the river is the city center. The listed price of the same community once reached 12 million yuan. But what does it have to do with her? When I was with Leo, he was penniless and short of money. When we just graduated, we even lived in a damp basement in Shanghai and ate instant noodles that were about to expire. Even when Hope was born, we didn't have our own house yet. I endured the hardships of marriage. And I deserved the sweetness that came later. What's more, now they even have an illegitimate child on the way. I won't give up even a bit of what belongs to Hope. Hold on tight to the man beside you. Don't be too possessive of other people's property. Otherwise, I will refuse to show up for the divorce proceedings next month. I can afford to wait. But I don't know if the child in your belly can wait. After successfully sending the message, I blocked her number. I really couldn't maintain a calm state of mind and continue to wrangle with her. On the 18th day of the cooling-off period, Leo's parents still found out about our impending divorce. Early in the morning on the weekend, the two elderly people came into the house. After entering the door, Leo's father let out a deep sigh and then sat on the sofa on his own. Leo's mother stood at the entrance, looked around the whole house, and then frowned. "Why didn't you inform your father and me about such a big thing as divorce? Now that you haven't even got the divorce certificate yet, you've already cleaned the house so thoroughly that there's not a single thing of Leo's left. I didn't agree to the marriage in the first place. It was Leo who insisted on marrying you. I was right after all. People without parents really have no family education at all." She was as mean-spirited as ever. In the past, when I was her daughter-in-law, I would just ignore her scolding yes whenever she felt like it. But she shouldn't have brought up my deceased parents to humiliate me. I turned around, and suddenly smashed the 2 cups of hot tea in my hands in front of her. The sound of the glass cup shattering on the ground was particularly harsh in the early morning. The scalding tea splashed everywhere, scaring Leo's mother back a few steps. And she was left gaping in surprise. Leo's father was also so startled that he stood up from the sofa and stared at me angrily. "What do you think you're doing? Are you rebelling? This is the house my son bought. It's not your turn to act up here." With his support, Leo's mother also reacted and shouted loudly. "Good for you. It turns out that your previous docile appearance was all an act. This is your true nature, isn't it? Disrespecting your elders and ignoring filial piety. Leo has finally come to his senses. This divorce is a good thing. The house was bought by Leo through his hard work. He has supported you for so many years. If you have any conscience, you should leave on your own quickly. Without Leo to mediate." The 2 people in front of me had no scruples anymore. They didn't come here today because they were worried about the breakdown of our small family after the divorce, but because they were afraid that I would take advantage of the situation. I couldn't help but sneer. I paced to the aisle and counter and leaned against it calmly. "Divorce is a matter between Leo and me. I have no obligation to inform you too. As for the property within our marriage as a couple, how it will be divided doesn't concern you. If you have any objections, ask Leo to talk to me in person. Also, Eliso, the person who betrayed the family during the marriage is the one who really has no family education. During our marriage, I did my best and have a clear conscience. There's no reason for me to be let down by Leo, provoked by the mistress, and humiliated by his parents. Seeing my tough attitude, Leo's father frowned deeply. He slapped the side table, as if to demonstrate his authority as an elder. He had been a small leader in this system all his life and hated it when others refuted him when he spoke. Unfortunately, having fulfilled Osai, this wasn't his workplace. And I wasn't one of those unlucky subordinates under him. I pointed calmly at the front door. If there's nothing else, please leave. I won't see you out. Seeing this, Leo's father widened his eyes and rushed towards me fiercely, looking as if he was about to hit me. I pointed furiously at his back. Right in front of the island counter was the position of the surveillance camera, and every word and action of his was recorded. If you act recklessly today, I promise that the video will be sent to your workplace tomorrow. At the same time, I will call the police. With my cold and stern gaze, I met his angry eyes without flinching. Without Leo to shield me from the rain, I realized that I'm not afraid of the rain at all. During the standoff, Leo came home, which was a rare occurrence. He skillfully took off his shoes at the entrance and was about to change into comfortable and light home shoes. The moment he opened the shoe cabinet door, he was a bit taken aback, and then furrowed his brows. The place where his slippers were originally placed was already empty. He cast a puzzled look at me. Sorry. I've cleared away all your things. After all, this is the home of my daughter and me, and I don't want anything belonging to others to be here. He stared at me for a long time without saying a word, and the movement of changing shoes seemed to freeze at the entrance. Then he put on his original shoes as if nothing had happened and strode in. Seeing his son's appearance, Leo's father snorted coldly and sat back on the sofa. Leo's mother had already started shouting, "Leo, look at the good wife you married. She ate your food and lived off you. And now she's become independent. I don't care about your divorce. But she can't get a share of this house. There's no such good thing in the world. Just by giving birth to a daughter, she wants to take away tens of millions of worth of things. She's not afraid of choking on it." Hearing Leo's mother's words, Leo's face darkened, and his brows furrowed even deeper. He probably never knew that such vulgar words would come out of his mother's mouth. "Mom and Dad, you go back first. Leo and I will sort out our issues ourselves. And Hope is also my daughter. I don't want to hear such words again in the future." Leo's mother stepped forward. Be frustrated at someone's failure to live up to expectations. "Are you crazy? All the money you've saved through hard work is invested in this house. And now you're saying you don't want it. Where will you live in the future? What about my grandson?" Her voice stopped abruptly under Leo's suddenly fierce gaze. Realizing that she had said the wrong thing, she looked a bit embarrassed. I folded my arms across my chest and looked at them mockingly as they tried to cover up in front of me. As parents, they clearly know that their son has betrayed the family, acting in an unkind and unrighteous way. Yet they don't feel the slightest bit of shame. Instead, they even fantasize about taking everything from me. I should have known that the kind of child raised depends on the kind of original family. If Leo were truly aboveboard, he wouldn't have had an affair during our marriage. The reason he so generously chose to give up the shared house and property was nothing more than that he wanted to end this marriage decently and quickly. He is just in his early 30s now, at the prime of his youth and wealth. These things mean nothing to him. Thinking of this, I looked coldly at the family of 3 in the room. I've been a housewife for 6 years. But I'm not a fool. Hope's interest class is about to end. Please leave my house within 10 minutes. And Leo, before the shareholders' meeting of your company. If you don't want the news of the company executive having an affair, bigamy, having fulfilled my sorry, and having an illegitimate child to spread, then keep the people around you in check and don't bother me anymore." Ignoring his shocked and flustered eyes, I stared at him and said word by word, "You're right. Ending this disgusting marriage early is a relief for both me and Hope. The room was quiet. And even Leo's mother, who was usually talkative, fell silent. After I straightforwardly exposed the truth, Leo's father felt embarrassed and got up, flicked his sleeves, and left first. Leo's mother also grabbed her bag and followed. In the large living room, in the blink of an eye, only Leo and I were left. We stood facing each other. We were once two people who knew each other so well, but in just a few days, we had reached a point where we couldn't even look at each other and say a word. After a long time, he regained his calm appearance and let out a sigh. Sorry. I didn't expect them to bother you. The reason I want a divorce is not because of other people. It's just that there's no love left in our marriage now. I can't communicate with you about my work. And you don't pay attention to my hobbies. Since Hope was born, all your focus in life has been on the child. I admit that you're a good mother and a good wife. But what I want is a spiritual soulmate. His voice was still calm and orderly. He didn't think he had made a mistake but instead attributed all the problems to me. If he had told me these things on the night he proposed the divorce, I would definitely have reflected on my own problems and felt guilty about my negligence towards him. But at this moment, I just felt it was ironic. If your heart has changed, it has changed. Having an affair is having an affair. No matter how many reasons you have, you can't change the nature of the matter. If you really think it's no big deal, why be so secretive? You should have been straightforward and told me that you fell in love with someone else from the beginning. Now that the illegitimate child has come into the picture, what are you pretending to be so noble and generous for? After I mercilessly exposed the truth, his face turned rather ugly. Abay. I said it's all my fault. It has nothing to do with her or that child. And that child won't be an illegitimate child either. His tone was a bit hasty as he took all the blame on himself. It was as if he could show his gentlemanly demeanor and integrity in this way. I tilted my head back and laughed. The more I laughed, the more hysterical I became. He took 2 steps towards me and then stopped. The hint of concern in his eyes disappeared in an instant. Don't be like this. You know I haven't treated you unfairly. You don't have to worry either. The divorce agreement won't be changed. I just want to get divorced smoothly now. I also hope that you can consider our past as a couple and don't talk nonsense outside. Let's part ways amicably. I nodded. Then I really thank you. Get out of here now. His face froze. And he was a bit surprised by my reaction. I threw the photo frame of our family of 3 at him. What? Do you think I'll kneel here and beg you not to leave? Get out now. Seeing that I wasn't pretending, he looked a bit dejected. He glanced at the broken photo frame on the ground, his expression dark and unreadable. He left a sentence. Contact me if you have any difficulties. Then he turned and left. As soon as he left the house, I slammed the door shut. The process of seeing a person's true character during a breakup completely disenchanted me with him. I found a familiar real estate agent and put the house up for sale. When the young girl came to take pictures, she stared at the vibrant flowers and plants on the terrace with a puzzled look on her face. Sister, you've only bought this house for 3 years. From the large scale to the small scale decoration and arrangement, it's obvious that you've put a lot of effort into it. Are you sure you want to sell it? With such a good location and layout, once it's on the market, I'm sure it will find a buyer soon. Listening to her words full of regret, I raised my eyes and carefully looked around the whole house. I really had put a lot of effort into it. The first time I saw it, it was still in a rough state. After getting the keys, Leo couldn't wait to bring me here. In the room full of cement and wires, we screamed with joy, were full of hope, and hugged each other affectionately. We envisioned the happy times that belonged to our future together. Leo was busy with work. After putting forward his requirements, I took care of all the other matters related to the decoration. Changing the design, determining the style, selecting materials, bargaining the price, and coordinating with the property management and neighbors. Just thinking about the troubles involved still makes my scalp tingle. Fortunately, Hetty fulfilled my sigh. After spending a whole year, I finally created a home that our family of 3 was satisfied with. Here, there is the study and the bar counter that Leo likes the most. and the children's play area that Hope loves the most. There are also the kitchen and the terrace where I often stay. I once thought that we would buy the happy life here for a lifetime. Now, in just 3 years, things have changed. And all my efforts have gone to waste. The master of this house has left, but there are many people eyeing this house. Just for the sake of having peace of mind in the future, I should let it go when I need to. After seeing off the real estate agent, I returned to the living room and turned on the computer. As soon as I logged into my social media account, countless messages urging for updates flooded in from the background. Yes, I'm a full-time mother. And also an anonymous self-media blogger. After Hope started kindergarten, I had a lot more free time during the day. I once tried to go out and find a job. But after being idle at home for 4 years, I had no competitiveness in the job market. Later, I began to explore the path of self-media. After Leo went to work and Hope went to school, I started taking pictures and shooting videos. And posted the videos of my daily home organization, decoration, and meal preparation on the internet. Surprisingly, it attracted a lot of attention. I persisted until now and gained a group of regular followers. Even advertisers have approached me. At first, I was too embarrassed to tell Leo because I was afraid I wouldn't achieve good results. Later, when it started to show some promise, I tentatively asked him about his opinion on self-media bloggers. He curled his lips and said distaffanially, "These are all tricks to attract attention. To make money. People expose their privacy to the public. Where is the real life then?" I wanted to argue with him, but he waved his hand, indicating that he had work to do. Later, I thought that as long as he paid careful attention, he would surely find out. At that time, I would definitely tell him proudly that I also had my own small career. But after so long, I've changed the shooting equipment several times. Yet Leo has never noticed anything unusual. Perhaps he did notice, but he thought it had nothing to do with him and didn't need to be investigated further. By some twist of fate, this has unexpectedly become my way out now. In the first 2 days of the cooling off period, Hope suddenly had a high fever, and the cause was unknown. I stayed with her in the hospital day and night, accompanying her while she got injections and took medicine. Looking at her face, which was red from the repeated high fever, and the rashes all over her body, I felt both heartbroken and self-blaming. When Hope woke up, she called for her father in a hoarse voice. She wanted to see her father. I could understand that when a child is vulnerable, they most hope that both their parents will be by their side. I didn't hesitate to dial Leo's number, but every time it rang a few times, it was hung up. In desperation, I left him a message and softly soothed Hope, saying that her father would come to see her later, from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. The next day, I didn't receive a reply from Leo, nor did I see him come. My heart sank again. After Hope's fever subsided, she became much more energetic, and as soon as there was the slightest sound of wind at the door, she would look outside with expectant eyes. But every time, she was greeted with disappointment. I couldn't bear to see her so downhearted, so I called Leo again. This time, he answered the phone quickly. I held back my anger and asked calmly, "Did you see the calls and messages I sent you yesterday?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. And then he slowly said, "I saw them. It's normal for a child to get sick and have a fever. There's no need to make a fuss. How is Hope now? Has her fever subsided? I'll go home and see her after the procedures are done tomorrow." With the phone pressed to my ear, Leo's calm voice continued to come through. Hope was sitting on the hospital bed, looking at me with joy in her eyes. "Mom, is Dad coming? I want to talk to Dad." I was hesitating whether to hand the phone to her. But at that moment, the voice of someone else came from the other end of the phone. "Honey, my stomach hurts a bit." The delicate and cloying female voice made my ears feel uncomfortable. Leo seemed to have forgotten about the call on my end and immediately picked up her words. "Where does it hurt? Come on. Let me rub it for you." His recklessness made me feel a bone-chilling cold. I hung up the phone and hugged Hope tightly in my arms. This rotten fatherly love is not worth having. At 8 a.m., I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau on time. This time, Leo was late. When he saw me waiting there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. How is Hope today? How dare he mention Hope? I really wanted to slap him twice more. He seemed to want to say something more. But seeing my cold expression, he finally closed his mouth. Contrary to the low pressure between us, the newlyweds to be beside us were smiling brightly. The young man promised the girl that no matter how the world changed, his love for her would never change. The girl sweetly nestled on the young man's shoulder, whispering softly, as if envisioning a happy married life. Leo was attracted by their voices and turned his head to look at them for a long time. It was only when the number was called that he came to his senses, and there was still a hint of confusion in his eyes. Suddenly, he murmured to me, "I'm sorry, Eva. The hurt in a relationship can't be fully expressed in just a few words. And the conflicts between us can't be forgiven with just an apology." I just ignored him as if he didn't exist. I got up on my own and took the lead to go to the service counter and handed over the corresponding materials. After he sat down next to me, his hand holding the certificate seemed to hesitate. Seeing this, the staff member couldn't help but feel a bit curious. "Two of you. If you haven't made up your minds yet." "Thank you. We've made up our minds. Please go through the process." I reached out and took the certificates from his hand, then pushed them in front of the clerk. Leo pressed his lips tightly together and said nothing. The process of exchanging the certificates was quick. After leaving the hall, I didn't stay for a moment and quickly walked away in the direction of home. However, Leo stood there, hesitating for a long time. On the way back, I received 2 messages from him. "Maybe it's not just me who has changed. You've also changed. It seems that you're not regretting separating from me." He seemed very disappointed that he didn't see me heartbroken. This is probably the strange mindset of men. They lose interest once they get something, but still keep their possessiveness after discarding it. It seems that my life only makes sense if it revolves around him. I didn't reply to him. From now on, we'll be strangers. A man who has betrayed his promise isn't worth my time and effort. After getting home, I packed all the evidence I had and sent it to my lawyer. Since the other side has provoked me, I should give it back in kind. Leo is generous, but I'm not. Every cent he spent on the mistress and the illegitimate child is the joint property of our marriage. I have the right to get back the part that belongs to me and Hope. At the same time, I also sent a message to the real estate agent. I agreed to the price of $12.88 million. Let's find a time to sign the contract as soon as possible. On the terrace in the evening, the afterglow of the setting sun covered the ground, and everything was just beautifully right. I was in the mood to put on a full face makeup. I put on the burgundy spaghetti strap mermaid dress I just bought today. I poured myself a small glass of red wine. Sitting on the rocking chair surrounded by flowers and plants, I filmed the last video in this house. I showed my face for the first time as a single mother. From the sudden change in my marriage to the present calm acceptance of the separation. In this month, I never told anyone about my hesitation and helplessness in my heart. Now, facing the camera and the setting sun, I sang a little tune freely and passionately and danced alone in a tipsy state in the glow. Just like saying, "The light boat has passed thousands of mountains." After I sobered up, the video went viral overnight. The account that originally had only 1 million followers reached 3 million overnight. For a while, topics about marriage freedom and female independence continued to ferment. I also received countless invitations from radio stations and cooperation intentions in my private messages. After explaining and declining them one by one, I took Hope and prepared to embark on a trip just for the two of us. A child's perception of love mostly comes from the constant company of their parents. During the more than a month when Leo was absent, Hope was disappointed many times. Gradually, she didn't expect it so much anymore. And I also began to realize that some emotions can't be forced. If there is none, then there is none. There's no need to create false love. Just like the amusement park, the aquarium, and the zoo that Leo promised Hope, it's just an empty promise that may never be fulfilled. Rather than waiting for the promise to be fulfilled, it's better to set sail on our own and see the more beautiful and distant scenery. Hope will understand that the world is very big. Besides the amusement parks in the city, there are also boundless grasslands, vast seas, and deserts with solitary smoke for miles. Before departure, I received a call from Leo. He seemed to be suppressing his anger, and asked me in a low voice, "You changed the lock of the house?" I was packing my luggage at the new residence and replied infuriately, "I didn't change the lock. I sold the house." There was a moment of silence on the other end, followed by a burst of anger. "Who allowed you to sell the house? I left the house for you so that you and Hope could live comfortably here. How dare you sell the house without my permission?" I took the phone away from my ear, put it on speakerphone, and casually threw it aside. "Leo, we're divorced. The house is mine. The decision to sell it or not is up to me. I don't need your permission. If you called just to tell me this. Sorry. I'm very busy and don't have time to explain my private affairs to you." There was a bang sound from the other end of the phone, as if he punched the wall. I sneered and listened to him going crazy. "Ava, Amosa. After 6 years of marriage. I really underestimated you. I even suspect that all of this is within your plan. When we divorced, you didn't make a fuss, making me feel guilty and give you all the property. After the divorce, you come to hold me accountable for everything." I stopped what I was doing and found it quite funny. "Leo, did I force you to have an affair during the marriage? Do you think that all of this is your charity to me? When I was pregnant, it was just at the rising stage of my career. I said it's okay to wait a while to have the child. What did you say to me? You said, 'Ava, I want this child. I want a home that truly belongs to our family of 3. Just thinking that there are my wife and child waiting for me at home. My life and work will be full of meaning.' In just 6 years after graduation, you've reached where you are now. Ask yourself, did you achieve all this by your own hard work? My parents are gone, but you've made full use of the connections they left behind. Now, everyone outside calls you President Leo. Have you become so proud that you've forgotten where you came from?" After my outburst, there was no response from the other end for a while. Only Leo's heavy breathing lingered in the room. Just as I was about to hang up the phone, his voice came again. "Ava, I never meant to hurt you. Whether you meant to or not, the harm you've caused me is an established fact." He let out a deep sigh on the other end. "Ava, it's all my fault. Please withdraw the lawsuit against Chloe. I'll transfer the money to you later. Don't make things difficult for her. Chloe is that girl. No wonder she had the audacity to come and provoke me. Leo really loves her." I smiled self-deprecatingly. "Sorry. Everyone has to pay for their own choices. No one is an exception." After hanging up the phone, I packed the remaining luggage. I went to the next room and woke up Hope. "It's time for us to go." 1 year later, Hope and I traveled from the south to the north of China. When we found a place we liked, we would stay there for a longer time and stop to enjoy life. Along the way, Hope saw many new things and made many new friends. She hasn't mentioned her father for a long time. I don't regret choosing to take her on this trip before she starts primary school. We both need to bravely and happily say goodbye to the past. During the trip, I updated my videos irregularly. From being a full-time housewife taking care of the family day after day to being a free-spirited traveler who can go wherever she wants. I thought I would lose a group of loyal fans. But unexpectedly, after changing my lifestyle, more and more people got to know me again. Someone left me a message, "Seeing your current life state, I suddenly feel that marriage is no longer so scary." Anyway, heading fulfilled my obsession. The right to choose is always in our own hands. When we're in love, I can be a full-time wife who cooks at home, gentle and considerate, waiting for you at home every day. When love is gone, I'm just myself and can live freely in any way I like. Yes, having fulfilled my obsession, the new life isn't scary. In fact, it's even more comfortable and happier than I thought. I don't have to pay for anyone else's emotions anymore. I don't have to ignore myself because of considering others' preferences. I don't have to wait for my lover to come home every night. During the trip, Leo called me many times. Most of the time, I didn't answer. Occasionally, when he asked to see Hope, I would ask for Hope's opinion and then talk to him on the phone. I don't care about anything else. When the lawyer informed me that I won the lawsuit, I was a bit confused. I thought Leo would find a way to give me the money before the court session. After all, he used to say again and again that it was all his fault and had nothing to do with that girl. I'm really surprised by the current situation. The lawyer said that they didn't get married and the child wasn't born. She wasn't very clear about the details. I thanked her with a smile and didn't comment on it. After the trip, at the airport when we arrived, I unexpectedly saw Leo waiting at the pickup gate. Hope looked at the man waving his hands in front of her, feeling a bit at a loss. She grabbed the corner of my skirt and took 2 steps back, noticing her change. Leo's originally excited face was tinged with sadness. Hope, I'm Dad. I missed you so much during your long trip. After Hope obediently called Dad, she didn't say anything else. Leo looked at me helplessly. Welcome back. Let me take you home. I shook my head at him with a smile and pointed to the young man not far away. No. My assistant is here to pick us up. He was stunned for a moment, thinking I was joking with him. It wasn't until the young boy stepped forward to take the luggage from our hands that he realized what was going on. There was a look of surprise and panic on his face. Ava. Let me take you. I just want to talk to you about something. I was a bit vigilant. The name Ava was the affectionate name he used to call me when we were deeply in love. He hasn't called me that for a long time. I'm a bit tired today. Let's talk about it later. I held Hope's hand and walked towards the car arranged by the assistant. In a hurry, Leo grabbed the sleeve of my dress. Ava. Just half an hour. Okay? His voice softened, with a faint hint of pleading. I raised my hand to check the time. 15 minutes. No more. I'm really busy. In the airport hall, we found a fast food restaurant. Hope and the assistant sat at one table, and Leo and I sat at the next table. I quietly waited for him to speak. He took a deep breath and finally spoke after a long time of hesitation. Ava, edin foso land sashim. Can you lend me some money? I looked at him in surprise, and he avoided my gaze. I gently tapped the table with my index finger and stared at him for a long time. You shouldn't be short of money. Under my questioning, he tilted his head slightly, suddenly covered his face with both hands, and a muffled groan came from behind his palms. Ava. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Chloe is a liar. Her love for me is fake, and her pregnancy is also fake. Her education background and work experience are all fake. She's just a professional swindler. She forced me to buy a house, a car, and jewelry with the excuse of the child. I was really at my wit's end. So I used a sum of the company's payment for goods, thinking that I would pay it back when the subsequent dividends came in. But the money I took out of the company was quickly taken away by her. Now, the company has started an audit in advance, and the distribution of dividends is still undecided. If it's discovered, everything about me will be over. Adi, da. Only you can help me now. We were husband and wife, so I'm begging you. Looking at the person in front of me, his eyes were red and his pupils were filled with bloodshot. He no longer had the high spirits of the past. I found it somewhat ridiculous. So this was how the fact that we were once husband and wife was being used. He was still chattering on, spitting out the ruthlessness of Chloe on one hand and missing our past on the other. I stood up and interrupted him. Sorry. I can't help you. All my money was invested in a villa on the outskirts of the city. This would be the future home for me and Hope. I carefully selected it for a long time and finally gritted my teeth and bought it. Not to mention that I don't have the money. Even if I did, I wouldn't lend him a single cent. Now Leo can only hope for the best on his own. After all, people have to pay for their own desires. And he doesn't deserve our sympathy. 15 minutes are up. I should go now. I stood up, took Hope's hand, and walked outside. Leo's mouth moved as if he wanted to say something. In the end, he lowered his head and said nothing. Later, I heard that Leo's father and mother sold their own house, emptied all their pension savings, and barely managed to plug the hole for Leo. However, the company eventually found out about this. Out of consideration for various relationships, the company didn't pursue his legal responsibilities but directly fired him. After Leo became idle, He started sending me messages day and night, confessing his mistakes and missing the good days of our family of 3. I just treated them as jokes. Had a laugh. And then deleted them all. Not long after, I saw Leo's father and mother once in the supermarket. Their hair had turned much grayer. And they seemed to have aged 10 years. The two of them were picking and choosing in the discounted vegetable section. They would occasionally complain to each other, which was really sad. Hope started primary school and adapted well to the new environment. Compared to a year ago, she is now more cheerful, enthusiastic, and generous. And I'm going to start the decoration work of the villa again. This time, I'm going to build a big walk-in closet. I'll put the large bathtub I like in the bathroom. I'll fill the courtyard with flowers, plants, fruits, hedden fulfilled my desire, and trees, and hang a small swing. Next spring, this place will surely be extremely beautiful. The end.